I know the TikTok sheikhs are gonna come for my neck, but I don't really believe in marriage. Not in modern day, at least, because I would say that the majority of the time it doesn't work out. And even when it doesn't end in divorce, it ends in absolutely hating and resenting each other towards the end of life. And the reality is that in most marriages, women get the short end of the stick. Like, women are the ones who have to sacrifice their careers, their health, their well being to take care of their husband and the children.
So I totally understand so far why this woman is saying that, because the truth is, marriage is sacrifice. Like, honestly, motherhood is sacrifice. Like, all the things that you really want, if you want a great job and you want to work your way up, is sacrifice. Like, anything good in life that you want is sacrifice. And, she was talking about like just sacrificing your well-being. And I get why she's saying this, because there's so many, like, it's hard when all you're seeing are failed marriages and people getting divorces all the time. Like, I could see how that would make somebody not believe in marriage or want to get married. It's an easy thing to see. So like everything she's saying, I'm not like surprised by it.
And in modern days, a lot of women are still working at the same time as doing all of that other stuff that has always been an obligation for women. I'm not like a psychopath, so there's still a part of me that like craves it. Like, I yearn for it, but logically, I just don't really care for it because I don't think that it's gonna benefit me, honestly. I feel like it's actually going to stun.
Okay, I just want to pause there so I don't forget what I have to say. She just said that in the beginning of the video, she started and she said that she doesn't believe in marriage, and it sounded like she didn't want marriage. But then just now she said, well, I still yearn for it. Like, and that is understandable, but like, she just doesn't see like, the benefit of it. And that word is standing out to me, because I feel like a lot of people, especially nowadays, like, they're getting married for the benefits. Like, they only want to get married to someone who will add to their life. Like, I hear people say that a lot. I don't want anybody to get married to, I want to get married to someone who will add to my life and not take away from my life. And this just brings me to who created marriage. Marriage was designed by God. And that's what I always remember. It's like, marriage was designed by God to make us holy. And it wasn't meant to just benefit ourselves. I'm not saying there's no benefits in marriage. There's definitely benefits in marriage. And it's really about your perspective and if you're doing a relationship with God. If you're getting married and you are having God at the center, it makes a huge difference. And so when I hear her say this and her yearning for marriage, like, my heart actually goes out to her, because it's hard. Like, if all you're seeing are negative things and you feel like, oh my gosh, I have to sacrifice this, I have to sacrifice myself. And that's the thing, marriage is sacrificial, but sacrifice is not always a negative thing. I think I've been hearing so many people saying it's a negative thing. So like, I have a 1-year-old, and I'll bring that up a lot because that's the season I'm in my life right now. And there's so much sacrifice that is involved, because I'm probably not going to sleep in for the next like couple years. I wake up early every day. I'm not even a morning person, but I have a baby to take care of. And, but I don't feel like I'm losing myself. I feel like it's just a new version of myself. And see, that's perspective. And then also being reminded of what motherhood is. So it's the same thing with marriage. Like, marriage can be very difficult at times. Like, I don't think it was meant to be amazing and happy all the time. I just don't think that's realistic. And so that's the problem, is that people they have this idea like that marriage is supposed to just be amazing all the time, no issues, no problems. What can you give to me? But marriage is actually it's very much about serving the other person. And when both parties serve each other well, there is ultimate benefit, but you can't always see that in the beginning. Like, when you're constantly just looking for what can they do for you, like, you can't see what it is that you might be doing for them. Like you might be helping somebody else be closer to God. Like it's interesting, we talk about not wanting to make sacrifices, but we make sacrifices every day for different things, for things we want, like you want to, go see a concert, but like the ticket's going to get sold out. So you have to kind of sacrifice a couple hours and stay on this line to get the ticket, just so that you can get to see the concert. It was a sacrifice, but it was worth it because now you got tickets you got front row seats to the concert. Like I think perspective is key here. So, when I hear her say this, like, I understand where like that's coming from, that perspective. Friendships require sacrifice. Family requires sacrifice. Marriage is not just about simply your personal happiness. And when you think of it like that, you're going to lose, so.
Stunt my career. It's just going to stunt me in so many ways, and I'm going to grow to hate that person. I didn't have to be in a marriage to have observed that in literally hundreds of marriages of the people around me. There's also a part of me that's just skeptical about the idea of being with.
Sorry, I want to pause it again. She just mentioned that marriage will stunt your career, like, because I'm imagining she's assuming that if you have children, you have to pause your career to take care of the children. I mean, that's not always the case. There are some people who still decide to work and, get childcare for their children. It all depends on what works best for their family. I am blessed to be a stay-at-home mom, and I'm really grateful for that. But I know not everybody does that, and not everybody wants that, right? But I think that's important too. It's like, it's what are we putting our value in? Like, I always think about these things, and it's so funny because I don't value a career more than I value a relationship with God. I don't value a career more than I value motherhood or more than I value marriage. There's nothing wrong with a career. I had a career for over a decade in marketing, and it's cool, but it doesn't come close to motherhood. And you won't really know that until you are a mother, until you make the sacrifice. So funny, like sometimes we're like, well, you got to sacrifice everything. Oh my God, you got to sacrifice everything. So I don't want to do it. And it's like, man, once you do sacrifice it, you gain so much more, which God talks about this, right? And I don't know this woman. I don't know if she has a relationship with God. She hasn't mentioned that so far. But a lot of times we think of just me, and like, oh, it's stunting my career. The guy gets to do whatever he wants to do. And, there are certain, I want to be careful the way I say this. Like, there are certain roles and things that God has given us. That doesn't mean that a woman doesn't have a career. I'm not saying that. Proverbs 31, she literally had her own business and all of that. So that's not what I'm saying. But if we put our worth in our careers, when something else comes, because we have different seasons, we will feel like we've lost something and that like our lives are over. But I don't that's why I could say like that I don't care, like on that level. It's not that I have so many interests, right? Like I'm interested in graphic design, for example, but nothing will come close. And at the end of the day, when I die, I care more about the legacy that I'm leaving here. So that is something that you have to think about, because, a career is not something you could take with you when you die, right? And I don't think we're thinking about it from different perspective here. And I just hear the perspective that she's coming from, and I see why she would not want marriage. Because marriage, I'm not going to tell you is easy. It's all bliss, la, 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 la. No, it ain't. No, it ain't. But I am more holy than I was before I got married. 100%.
One person for the rest of your life. And because so many people go into marriages with such high expectations, like they think it's going to significantly improve their lives, and then they're like quickly humbled within the first few years of marriage. I just feel like that actually sets people up for even more pain and heartbreak.
That's true.
Because society and just like our families have raised us to glorify marriage or to see it as like our end all be all purpose in
She's
life.
not wrong there.
And when you are disappointed by that, you just, it leaves you lost and broken and confused.
I want to acknowledge that too, because I actually think they do this in the church too. Like, I think that people glorify marriage so much that they make marriage an idol, right? Like, so they make their whole life about marriage. And then when they get married, then they realize like, wait, I'm still a person outside of marriage, because you are. Like, it's just like dating, relationships, a job, like anything you make bigger than God, will be an issue, because that can't fill the void. It can't. And so she's not wrong, because people will put this, like all these high expectations, like once you get married, this, da, 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 and that is one of the issues, because I don't want you to feel that once you get married, all your problems will go away. Like, oh, once I get married, my anxiety and depression will go away. Oh, once I get married, you still need God. Now, on the flip side, once you get married, strongholds can definitely break. Once you get married, bad habits can definitely be brought to the altar. Once you get married, you will definitely be exposed to the deep things in your heart, because you could say, no, I am not selfish. Let your husband piss you off just one too many times, and you start saying stuff, you're like, that wasn't me. They're bringing out things that are in your heart. But guess what? That marriage can wash you. A good man of God can wash you with the word. That's what he's called to do. And so again, it comes down to perspective. She even said like, oh, the idea of just being with one person for the rest of your life. Like, it just makes me think of society and how, like, especially with consumerism, one is never enough. Like, we always need more. I just want more. I want more. I want more. Like, now we have all these dating apps. We just swipe, 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 swipe. All these options. No, I don't want that. I don't want that. And then it's like, that's why you are single. Because everybody wants everything. No, you're never satisfied. And that's the key. You will not be satisfied fully by marriage. You will not be fully satisfied by your husband. And if that's why you want marriage, then that's right. You probably shouldn't get married, because marriage, again, is God's design. And the only thing that could truly fulfill you is a relationship with God. And I had to learn that, because I thought that once I got married, I wouldn't be sad or lonely anymore. And that was not true. I still felt lonely. I still feel lonely sometimes, even now. But then I am reminded to go to God. I'm reminded of my relationship with Christ. I'm reminded of my Creator. I'm reminded of what God said. I'm reminded what Jesus did on the cross. And then it's not so bad. And then lessons are learned and growth occurs.
Yes, there's still a part of me that like yearns for it. I do feel lonely every once in a while, but I know that I'm better off alone. And I'm more so in the mindset of like, if it happens, but it'd have to be like the most ideal situations. Otherwise, I just don't think that it's worth the time and effort and pain. Not to mention, in marriage, a lot of women's
anything worth having is worth
and their
the time and effort.
How can I say this without pissing people off? Their desires are very rarely met. There's that aspect of it that actually leaves women feeling very frustrated. And then when they're not satisfied in their marriages, a lot of times the men will then go seek out other women because they can't satisfy their wife. Like, I just can't. Why would I put myself through that? I've seen far too many marriages that have failed, or if they haven't entirely fallen apart, they leave, at least the woman for sure, just feeling so broken and regretful of even getting into the marriage in the first place. Like, most of our moms and aunts and everybody, they're miserable in their marriages and they regret marrying the men that they married. So part of it is also just like the fact that they didn't choose well, but like, that's the reality for most women.
Yeah. So I really I understand, and I feel like I can relate to some of what she's saying. Like there are times where I was like, man, and I it's gonna be crazy for me to say this, but there are times when I was like, man, I regret marrying my husband. Like, what have I done? And that was because we're going through a rough patch, and I was like, oh well, I'm not getting my desires met, and that's the thing. Like, you're not always going to get your desires met. That's not how life works. And, it sounds like this woman has seen some really bad marriages. It sounds like she's surrounded by failed marriages. Like, it's hard when people see like parents like get divorced. It's hard when you see aunties just upset and angry and not fulfilled and, in their marriages. It's hard to see so much of that negativity, but it's like, I would love for her to look for positive stories of marriage because they do exist. It's just that once you start watching something or you see like negative things, you just start to see more of that. But I would love for her to see positive examples of marriage because I do believe that they exist and that marriage it can be great, but it cannot be great without God. That's the thing. In Genesis 2:18, it says, "The Lord God said, it is not good for the man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him." Marriage was meant to be a partnership, but the Bible also says that love in marriage requires sacrifice from both people. Like it's literally a reflection of how Jesus died on the cross for the church. So like in Ephesians 5:25, it says, "Husbands, love your wives, just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her." That verse just describes that deep level of sacrificial love. And so biblical marriage, I just want to clarify that, isn't supposed to be one person serving the other while getting nothing in return. That's not. It's meant to be mutual care and commitment. But in the Bible, it even addresses when that isn't happening. So when that isn't happening, you're called to do things that are hard. But just because something is hard does not mean that it isn't good, right? In the Bible, it talks about, if let's say a woman marries a man who's not a believer, or, it says that the woman should literally serve her husband, but also just be a great example of a follower of Christ so that she may influence her husband, right? And I've actually seen so many stories where this has happened and the man has come to know God, I think so many people are losing it. They're losing faith in marriage because they just keep witnessing failed marriages, and people are getting online and talking about their divorce and unhealthy marriages. And there's just this idea, like modern day, that marriages are supposed to just keep you constantly happy. And if the other person isn't keeping you constantly happy, then what are you doing it for? And that is the problem. That is the narrative that is making people lose hope because they don't understand what marriage really is. They don't understand who created marriage. They don't understand what marriage was designed for. And without those shared values, marriage can become extremely difficult. It's already difficult, right? Because it's two different people, but it's going to become even more difficult when you don't understand the plot. It's kind of like if you don't know your purpose in life, but you just keep pursuing things and it just doesn't work out. Like you keep working these jobs and you hate the job. You don't know why. It's because it's not the purpose. Like it doesn't align. It's not what it's supposed to be. I can relate to some of what she was talking about because like I said, I have felt lost in my marriage before. I have felt low. Marriage has exposed my impatience. Marriage has exposed times where I've been selfish, times where my husband is selfish. Sometimes I'd be like, get out my face, okay? Like, why are you talking? Like, I'm not gonna make it seem like it's perfect, but it has definitely refined me. It has helped me be more patient. It's helped me to even seek God more. Like seriously, because At that point, I can't just rely on myself. Like normally I just be like, oh, you're pissing me off. Like it's a guy I'm dating. Okay, you're blocked. You're blocked. I'm not going to block my husband. I live with him. That's not going to work. We literally share a bed, right? And so then I have to face it. I have to face the issue. Healthy marriages do exist. Marriages where people support each other, marriages where they grow, they build together, and it may not be perfect, but it can still be meaningful and beautiful and powerful. The purpose of marriage, like I've said, is not just personal happiness. It's growth, commitment, and becoming the person that God has shaped you to be.